everyone, and welcome to week 7. This week we're going to cover job skills. The objectives for this week include identifying the components of a resume, discover ways to make your resume stick out, identify the CHW, Community Health Worker skills and competencies you currently have and provide examples, and gain practice with web conferencing interviews. The specific assignments that will be due this week are the resume quiz. You will have a resume writing assignment. Please note, you will first have to submit a draft to Harper College's Job Placement Center, and understand that this can take up to 48 hours. So make sure you complete this assignment early in the week. You will also practice web conferencing interview using Big Interview website that will be discussed in Blackboard. And finally, you have your discussion board. Please note, your reflection paper is not due this week because the 2 assignments, the resume writing and the web conferencing interview, will take a considerable amount of time. So the purpose of the resume writing assignment is to help you create an up-to-date resume that can be used in current or future job searches. What I've done is provided a job description for a community health worker. I would like you to gear your resume towards this job description. What you should first do is write a list as you read through the job description of the key skills that they are requesting. That way, when you're creating your resume, you can really tailor it to show that you have the key skills they are looking for. One thing you should note is that many job descriptions will ask for previous experience. Previous experience doesn't mean you have to have had a job in that field. Rather, you can show that you have the key skills that they are requesting and provide examples on how you have those key skills. That could be considered previous experience. In terms of the what for this assignment, you're going to write a resume to match this job description. But before you hand it in to me, I would like you to submit your draft to the Harper College Job Placement Center to review it. You can see the email here. It's also on the assignment in Blackboard. And again, I just want to caution that it does take 24 to 48 hours to receive the draft back with their feedback. So make sure you allow yourself ample amount of time to get that back. The second big assignment is the big interview. Harper College has a subscription to the Big Interview website. What you will first have to do is go to the website and register, and there are directions in the Blackboard shell. But what you're going to do is you're going to practice conducting web conferencing. So you will be recording yourself answering questions. What's nice about this platform is that it separates the 10 questions into 10 smaller video segments so that you have the opportunity to review each question and re-record if you would like. It also provides you an opportunity to self-review using a checklist. Once you have completed all 10 of the interview questions, you will submit them to me. So that brings us to this week's topic, which are job skills. A resume is a 1 or 2 page summary of your education, skills, and experience. It is supposed to be brief and concise, no more than a page or 2. The purpose of the resume is to get you in the door for an interview or get you online for an interview. It is the first item a potential employer sees about yourself, and there is a study that most employers will only spend 7 seconds reviewing a resume. That's why it's really important to make sure it is clear and concise. It is your most important job search tool. I found this quote, which I thought was appropriate for this lesson. You never get a second chance to make an impression. It is never truer when you submit your resume. This is going to be the first glimpse of what your employers look at. So make it an impressive one. A great resume can open a door, but an inferior one can just as quickly close one. Some of the do's and don'ts for resume writing. Do provide a clear and easy layout, use a standard fonts, and make sure you provide your contact information. Some of the don'ts include make sure it doesn't look cluttered, don't use a fancy font, and don't provide personal information such as your marital status or age or anything like that. There are three main types of resumes. One is chronological, which highlights consistency. It stresses what you've accomplished in each of the positions you held, and it really focuses on the history of your work experience and education. It also shows your progress and advancements in your career. This resume format is very popular among businesses. The functional resume, rather than focus on the history of your career, focuses on your skills and experience without including a chronological time and job titles. It prevents a profile of your experience based on professional strengths or a group of skills. And then a combination is just what you would expect. It's a combination of those two types of resumes. There are different sections to include on the resume, which you can see here. This is one example, and this is another example. Resumes should start out with an objective. And so let's look at what an objective is and what a profile is. These go at the top of your resume. An objective is a brief but specific statement outlining the type of employment that you are seeking. A profile, on the other hand, details your strengths, experiences, and interests and skills that you have to offer this employer. It's really important when you're writing a resume to use action verbs and do not use personal pronouns such as I, me, we. Action words are specific, they clarify your contributions and bring a confident tone to your resume and list of accomplishments. So here's an example of a statement that lacks strength and clarity. Held weekly status meetings to share client updates. The same sentence written with action words would sound like spearheaded weekly status meetings to communicate agency revenue growth. I've also provided a list of some of the action verbs that can be used in a resume. Some of the questions you should ask yourself when writing and developing your resume is, if you ignore the job title or official expectations, what did you actually do at your last job? So think about the skills you've practiced. What does this job actually entail? So try to read between the lines. Think of the key skills that this new position is looking for. What's unique to me that others don't have? What's going to make you stand out? What excites me about my next job? What are you looking for? What does success in this position look like? And how can I get this past the computer? Oftentimes, employers will use computers to go through the resumes first. It's important to highlight keywords in your resume. With today's day and age with the COVID-19, it is most likely your interview will be via web conferencing. As such, it's important to practice your web conferencing interview skills so that you become proficient and confident in giving interviews. A couple of tips I have, and there's more listed on our Blackboard course, but first is to look at the camera. Oftentimes when we're using Zoom or some other web conferencing platform, we tend to look at our picture in the screen, which diverts our eyes from the video camera. So make sure you're looking directly at the camera and not at yourself on the screen. Look presentable and have a clear, uncluttered background. So just make sure the camera that's pointed at you, what's behind you, isn't going to distract from what you are saying. And looking presentable, make sure your hair looks nice, make sure you're combed, make sure you have a nice shirt on, just look good from the waist up. And finally, come in prepared with a few questions to ask your interviewer. This concludes our weekly video. I hope you'll have a wonderful week, and as always, do not hesitate to ask me any questions if they arise.